Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in for another game dev stream. Just setting up my chat windows and maybe some background music for myself here. I hope it's not too loud. Okay. And here we go. Let me just change my scene here. Right on. So, just continuing off from the work I left on the stream yesterday. Where we have working the shopping alley and creating the parent-child actors for, shopping. So I got the functionality is now working. This shop here is a test child parent of the junk shop, just over there. And if we come up to here, we have a simple dialogue struct that passes through to a storefront. And these options are customizable, so we can enable certain shops to buy only or sell only or whatever the case it requires. And now I'm just going through and setting up the, how can I phrase this? The individual menus that get spawned from each category, like the buy to box, the sell, things like that. Let me just move my workspace over here. So I have the game instance open just as a reference. So the shop front, the actor, and the basic shop by widget. The junk shop by was there for reference, and yeah, those two are reference. I gotta leave those on my other monitor. Okay, so where did I leave off? In the construction graph, we have on construct for the shop front. Recently I just set up the instruction here just so that we get the money from our characters on hand and the bank. And we just add that together to get the total amount of money our character has. And from here we set the store inventory. So this is the basic shop by widget. Just looking through here, I pulled this out, the initialized delay. That's actually the reason why we didn't have any functionality earlier when I was previewing that. Let's create some space here and insert this bit of code back in. Let's try and grab everything. I'm just going to pass this through here. I'm not necessarily sure that we need this. The border accent block is this, and the brush color for the quantity, border quantity, background color. Oh, this right here. Yeah, we definitely do want that to be customized as well. I'm going to move this into our function for set custom data. This here is already in place, but I'll just Control X and Control V that into our entry here. And just create a little bit of space in the comment box and hook that up. That way our elements do have the appropriate color themed to them. Yeah, you can see everything is green here. Hopefully that audio isn't too loud. Please let me know in the comments if it is, and then I will adjust that accordingly. Okay, let's see here. So that menu is working. So the next step, the buy menu seems to be working perfectly. I'm going to quickly test something in this menu. So if we hop back to the actor, we have our shop inventory. It's just an array. And I'm going to set a few items here. Well, we have 3, but they're all a void, which is why they didn't show up. I'm going to set the, maybe like a water canteen, some iron alloy, and probably some clothing, whatever, that's fine. We can flag them out of stock if we wanted to, but for what I'm testing here, it doesn't really matter. Yep, these working perfectly. For the most part. There actually are a few little areas that need to be adjusted. The areas that have to be adjusted, excuse me, are the limiters for whether we can purchase something or not. As you can see, the tree here is pretty complex, and there is some logic that has to be done for things like get data, purchase, maximum, and sets visuals on quantity box, right? So there are a few checks. One is the item text item details, right? And details quantity owned, get max limits for purchase. That is one area that I know we have to adjust. Basically, where we have the quantity based on malite and then pack space. These are fine. I don't have to work with that area. It was pretty complex to set up, but you just got to modify this a little bit. We have a character reference that we pull the malite value, similar to how we have it set up here, the character reference. But what we should have also, and I'm going to rename this just for consistency. We have our character reference. This should be PGV underscore. Oh my gosh, my caps lock is on. There it is. Underscore main ref. Underscore reference. And we need to promote this to a variable as well. And that's easy. It's an easy thing to do. And we just call this project grand vault underscore game instance underscore reference. Okay. And from here, we can just pass that through our new variable. And we just want to make sure that we actually set that. And that should, we can make use of a reroute node, I guess. In any case, that should work fine. Now back over here, we can make use of that new variable and pull out a malite bank. And we want to get the sum of those two values. Sweet. Oh, source control wants to update. Okay, so let's compile, test that out. So it's not working just yet. I can see that despite our total, the sum of all our money being 5,600, we still can't afford these two items, even though we should be able to. And that actually, if I recall correctly, I believe that data is set on the character. Sorry, not the character, on the shop inventory button itself. Let's just hop in there real quick, get to its event graph. We have get name, and we have a section here, set if the item is purchasable. Yeah, we need to sort of do the same. Yeah, let's check this out. Let's do the same check, really. But you know what? We can improve this a little bit instead of having all these casts in here. I mean, all we're doing is casting and getting the. Well, if I think about it, we do need to get the inventory. We should. We should also. We could cast the game instance as well, or we could just pass through that information here. But it is an on-construct event, so instead we'll cast from here. I think that's the better choice. We don't have to. We can convert this to a pure cast just because we know it. There's no risk of failure here. And what I'm going to do here also is cast. You know what? I'm going to copy and paste it. Going to make use of that feature. There we go. What I forgot, we need to get the sum. Or we need to be able to add those two. And then check if that is greater than or equal to the cost of the item. So let's try to tidy this up a little bit. Yeah, that should be pretty good. Compile and save. Hop back into our store. And it looks good. We can buy these items. Can buy two. Okay, everything's working. Looks good. Looks good. Our money did not get subtracted. We have 0 mallet on hand. But the flow of the logic is working correctly. So what I'm going to do here is I think we can check that in. There shouldn't be any to keep it checked out. Oh, you know what? I'll keep it checked out for now, just in case. Let's check everything in later on. Let's see here. For the actual purchasing, that takes place down here. Buy items. Set total cost. Okay, so here's where we're buying items. We get our confirm sound effect. We buy the desired quantity. And for each quantity, we spawn an item and add it to inventory, which is fine. And then we reset focus and visible widgets. And then we subtract the total cost from our character's mallet. So that here is why we didn't lose any money from our bank. Let's see. Shop button index. Switch on. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna disconnect this for now. And this is the refresh for the store stock. If we check it out here, you can see that the refresh for the store stock doesn't actually redisplay our text, which it definitely should. So we want to slide that over. Clearing the children and initializing the delay. This guy is gonna wanna, let's break those links and move that over here. And that should better. That'll function more correctly, or that'll function better, excuse me. Let's see here. So this area is going to be a bit more complex just because we need to handle the transaction from our character's bank as well. So in retrospect, it's really good that we created that this reference here, because as you can see, we call the update mallet function from our main reference. So let's see how we're going to do this. We are going to set the bank value to itself minus the total cost. Whoops. Get bank. And we're in something like this. Subtract this from that's exactly what this is, the character mallife. We're going to use total cost first. It's going to be a segmented interaction. Basically, from the total cost, we need to let's pull from this real node here. We want to get the bank value, or sorry, get mallife value. And so what I want to do is subtract from our bank first. That should be fine. And then from here, we want to do something with this difference. Let's print string from here. There's so many different ways to do this. I'm not really sure which way would be the best. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. The first thing we can do is check. Is this cost greater than what our character possesses? I'm going to start with the false first. If it's false, we would simply take the total cost and subtract it like so. Right? That makes sense. But if it is greater than what our character has on hand, we probably should we need to split the cost. Maybe this should have been a function. Then we could make use of some local variables. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so from here I will collapse to function. And I'm just going to rename this to execute cost. The input pin for the, we're not going to need this input pin at all. We'll get a new reference to our main character. And back on our event graph here, I'll just pass that through now. And it certainly cleans things up a little bit. Anyways, we have our cost here. Get the return node going. Regardless of which way we go through, we want to pass and exit back out and continue our execution chain on our event graph. Okay. So if I think about this, so if our total cost is greater than our character, what our character possesses, what we should do is, well, I guess first what we should do is sort of do the same thing here. Get malite value. Whoops, not from the reference. We want to get this value. And basically just reduce it. Reduce this to 0. It's going to cost everything that character has on hand. But here's what's tricky. Before that, I want to make a local variable, and it's going to be an integer. Well, I'll leave it unnamed for now, but we'll pull it out here. I want to get the adjusted cost. And I'm going to do that by getting the total value and subtracting it by whatever our character has. And I guess that's a good name. Adjusted cost. And tooltip will read holds value of total cost after subtracting the characters on hand mallet. Sweet. Okay, so from here, we should do that immediately. I need to get our adjusted cost. Trying to keep this neat with all the wires, but it's a little tricky. Let's see here. So we get our adjusted cost, and that is what we're going to pass through to subtract from our bank. And I believe this should work. Yeah, it's a little it's a little messy, but update character mallet just like this. Let's update bank. Fantastic. Whoa. We definitely want a reference, and it would be this. Oh, I love how in 4.16 it can show you what's valid. I'm not sure if that's a 4.16 or not, but it is pretty cool. Okay, let's test this out. So we want to buy this. Yeah, it's going to cost 2,000, and it works. Sweet. Go to our item menu. We do have that item. Right on. Looks good. Looks good. Happy that's working. Should probably save. And we can close this function from view. We shouldn't be working with it anymore. Execute cost of items. Okay, so what I wanted to say was that this menu here is pretty much working. This buy menu, it's fully customizable for whatever shop we're working with or looking at. Excuse me. And the shop front has these different options. So what I want to set up now is the ability to purchase to stash, which shouldn't be much harder. And what I want to do is, instead of having a different duplicate widget, I just want to have that functionality inside of here. So we buy the items, and here you can see we add it to inventory. We should have a Boolean. Whoa, did not want to drag that. We should have a Boolean instead. Or sorry, not a Boolean. Well, we will have a Boolean still. It'll be a branch. And that branch would, let's see, it would say something, we'll promote to a variable. Buy to stash. And let's compile, and make sure it's set to false by default. And basically, we'd be running this event from here, right? By default, it's false. And for buying to stash, we would run a different function. And that would be all we have to do, which is fantastic. We're getting used to the same variable, or sorry, the same widget. No need to have a duplicate of it, just for the same functionality. Because it's going to have, when you buy items to box and stash, it's going to have the same inventory. It doesn't make sense to have a duplicate of the widget itself. Let's get some new music here. Wait, let's see. Let's scroll through here. Okay. Now then, after in for pickup, let's see. I guess the easiest way for me to check this out would be to look at the actor for our stash, or sorry, the widget. So I go to interactions and I have item stash. Quickly take a look at this widget. We have all these functions, and one of them, I believe, is transfer stash to pack. That's not what we want. Transfer pack to stash. Yeah, that's the one we want to reference. Basically, we set up these temporary variables for counting. That's fine. And we spawn it, and then we call add item to stash. And that is a function. So it's a function within a function. Oh no, it's from the game instance. Fascinating. Okay. Yeah, thank my past self for setting it up that way. Anyways, so leveraging this, where is it? Add to inventory. Okay, I gotcha. Let's just move this over here. Clean up these wires a little bit. So, if buy to stash is true, or false, we just add it to inventory, just like that. If it's true, though, if we are buying to stash, we want to get this and add to item stash. That's what we want. And we would execute it just like this, beautifully. And we just connect it in, so the same value goes through to whichever. Now, with that in mind, we should be able to, I gotta stop saying that so often. Next thing we gotta do is set this up, whether we want to buy to stash or not buy to stash. We can set that up on our set custom data. But you know what? I'm not gonna set it there because I want it to be like a very unique and obvious flaggable instruction. I don't want it to get lost in the midst of this where we have to toggle on a small boolean on or off. Instead, I'll just pull out a reference or a set buy to stash from here, and then we can call it on or off as needed. And that should work perfectly. It's off by default. Gonna call this create by widget. And we're going to do the same for buy to stash. But to be honest, this can be the same. This item here can be the exact same. I'm going to have to make a bit more space again. And we're just going to duplicate this whole comment box and bring it down. And of course, I duplicated it in a way where I dragged that event that I don't want to bring with me. Anyways. We're going to select this and pass it through. Maybe move that up. Try to keep things as neat as possible. And create buy to stash widget. So, and on this duplicate of the exact same bit of data, we're going to actually set it to true. So now we will be, so if we open the buy to stash, widget. If we look at it, if this gets clicked, we would be able to make sure that this is turned on. I mean, you could have this pass through with a select, and then I guess a branch, but I don't. It all amounts to the same thing, anyways. I don't know if that's necessarily better or worse. What I do want to get though is this, all this data here. I'm gonna double comment box this. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I think, oh my God, how am I supposed to lift this? Okay, anyways, set shop data, and I want to make this probably a bright orange so it stands out. It must be known because for every shop we have, the design elements are all set here. Actually, along with this too. So I'm just going to drag that out and pull this vertical to include it. Anyways, we can pass these nodes through down here as well. I suppose you could just use some reroute nodes. Keep things a little bit cleaner. Try to keep this neat and orderly. Shop inventory will go through just like that, and from here, shop text, detail text, and inventory focused color, and shop avatar. Cool. Very cool. Now we should be able to buy 2 box from here. What I want to do to test that first is I'm going to grab our stash actor and just pull, spawn that, well, not spawn it, but place it into the world so we can double check and know what's happening here. Really should add an arrow component to this, just so I can identify which way is forward. Anyways, so we have our 100 malite, but we have a bunch of money in our bank. So we will, I'm going to buy a ferroalloy. I'm going to buy 2, and then I'm going to buy to stash 1 and 1 water canteen. And you can see that money was reduced. So we have 0 money on hand. And on our status, excuse me, in our axe, whoa, that's a weird collision we have. Anyways, you guys can see that we have in our stash, the 2 alloys we purchased are on us here, but on our stash, oh, you know what? I do not think I set up the controls for keyboard for this widget just yet. I'm just plugging in my controller and see what's up. Very bizarre collision. Not really sure why that's happening. Maybe this is like the proximity of the capsule to the ledge, the step height. It's probably a combination of almost like a tangent, if this was a drawing, a tangent of different actor collisions. Anyways, real quick, I need to Alt-Tab and just turn on my gamepad controller here. And we should have, yep, got my functionality here, which is cool. So, yeah, inside of here we have the water canteen we purchased. So, it works, which is awesome. And I believe we can, yeah, stash those over, no problem. Beautiful. Just move my control off to the side. Don't have a lot of desk space with my coffee and my Cintiq in front of me right now. I'm just gonna go back to using my mouse and keyboard. Anyways, buy to stash works perfectly. Let me just double check actually. Just want to make sure that the so for buying this, okay, yeah, it's cool. Cool. Very good. So the next menu that we got to integrate here for our system is the sell menu. So we do have that working on our parent over here. But if I think about this, it may not be perfectly adapted. Let's go grab that menu and take a look at it. So we have our, yeah, it's not even like a basic buy. It was like specially made at that time for the junk shop. So you can see it's similar enough. It has a few aesthetic differences. The color of the notify text is green because we're adding money to our stash. And we have the text is already set. It says sell items instead. And the actual functionality of the widget is different. So it does need to be its own widget, I think. For making this a modular, I want to say. I mean, it can be modular, can't it? Let's just plug and play. Let's see what happens. So in our junk shop actor here, we have an event open sell menu, which this gets called from when this button gets selected. So from here, I'm actually gonna cheat and just copy and paste this from the junk shop parent. And, you know, it has sort of everything included. Create the widget, it references the junk shop sell widget, and we cast to get active menu. We don't need that. That's for an older, less, like an inferior menu system. In any case, yeah, set custom data doesn't exist yet. That's something I will look into integrating. But what we want to see here is, can we simply hop in here and then just sell stuff? So the title text and everything will change because we're not keeping it consistent. So you can see, yeah, everything changed to the junk shop, and even our money readout on the top right is different. It's older. It doesn't include our bank. It's only what we have on hand. But the menu seems to work. We have full navigation between all of them. If I buy some alloys, let's see, let's buy 3. And if we go to sell, it, you know, we have our quantity of 3. It's good, you know, make some money back. So it does work. I guess kind of an exploit. Well, not really. Okay, so it works. We want to customize it a little bit. Not all the shops. I mean, in large part, not majority of the shops won't offer you the ability to sell to them, just because. Like, think about it. How many stores can you go into in real life and sell stuff to them? They're in the business of selling you things, right? The junk shop is an exception. And there'll be other vendors and stuff and other store types that may buy particular items from you, which is fine. It's probably things like that we want to define. So just like we have set for everything else, let's begin creating the. We can close the item stash. what I was saying was, let's create um, the set custom data for the shop menu. Also, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to rename it. It needs to be something more inclusive. These junk shop menus are kind of going to be rendered useless, I want to say, by this new system. We're calling it basic shop or sell. Basic shop sell. Cool. And then those two will be together, and I'll know they're good. Fantastic. Okay. Now that we're here, we need to convert several of these. I'm actually going to go into the set custom data on the shop by menu and just pull to my other monitor just so I have it up as a reference for myself. That way you guys can see me work here and all the instructions being made, but I have a reference as to what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is set this to a variable and change it to shop title main. And do the same for this bottom one here, where it's going to read out shop title detail. We have this weird pattern. I guess it's fine for now. I'm not going to really worry too much about the aesthetics. It was actually made to be in reference to like the pattern of the Floyd's junk shop, like those. What do you call that? An awning. But so maybe that'll get changed back, or we can copy and paste the old one in here. It doesn't really matter right now. So we set up those two with shop inventory. It doesn't matter. Inventory focused color. Yeah, we want to have a color reference as well as the shop avatar. So I'm going to grab that element from the buy menu. I want to copy and paste it into the canvas panel. Where you paste absolutely matters when you're working with the widget blueprints, because this is a hierarchy. But if you paste in the canvas panel, you should have no problems. And I'm going to align this back to where it's supposed to be. And that should be appropriate. A height of -1 should be fine. It's not occluding anything. Looks good, looks good. And shop avatar naming convention is correct. Over on the graph, don't really need this. So we have our intro animation, junk shop sell enter. Actually, let's take a quick look at these animations. There are so many. With the quantity enter, the shop enter, which is like the whole thing is animating. Don't really need it. We have just the sell menu enter, which is more about what we're looking for here. And confirm enter, which is just a sell all items, right? So it's already using by default the one that I would prefer. I'm going to copy and paste these two comment boxes because they're definitely useful and we need those references. I mean, we create the reference anyways. Convert to pure cast. There's no fear with the pure casts because our that player parent is the parent class for any playable character in the game. So it will work without fail. Let's slide this up here. Okay, so we have our character reference, and over here we have cast to game mode to get the data. We're not really getting the game mode data anymore. We want the game instance. So I will do just the same. We have our game instance cast here, and I don't believe we have a reference to it yet, so we'll create one. And we'll call it Project Grand Vault underscore game instance underscore reference. And we want to create those immediately, create both of those. We don't want to forget about it. It's definitely important. After this, we will initialize the delay, and to be honest, this is our design elements. This is going to go inside of our function for setting the custom data. After this, we can remove these. And probably, we have a get malite here. What I want to do is remove this binding. It doesn't need to be there. We have a text that we can convert into a variable. Best not to have bound variables if you don't need them. So set text, and I'll pass that through here. I don't believe this value gets used anywhere else. Let's right click and find references. Yep, just here. So we can delete it from here and delete it from our blueprint. And what I want to do is just move this to well, here. And the character reference is there, and the game instance reference will pull up the bank again. And we're basically doing what we did earlier, where we just get the sum of our total net worth, I guess, and pass that through, clear children, and we want the refresh event to actually include the wallet, like our money. It's important that gets updated so we get that visual confirmation that that those items that we sold are in fact like that money has been added to our wallets. I'll save, compile. So that should be all for the setup modification, I believe. Let's create the custom function, or not override. I'll say set custom data. And inside of here, we will have several elements. Let's see, text block, shop title, the detail and the main. And on both of them, we want to set text. Try to keep it neat, and create those inputs on the function. And let's call it main text. Let's be more descriptive. That doesn't really help. Shop text main, and this one will read shop text detail. After those two, we would need to set the store color. Focused color, we have that here, so let's grab that out here. Focus color, that's fine. I think it'll be just fine. I'm going to add a sequence just so I can be a little bit organized with how these execution pins are flowing. When I head over to my event graph, actually I gotta get rid of all of this stuff. It's just cluttering up the workspace, so you're not really working with any of it. Anyways, event graph. These are both color inputs that are supposed to use the focused color. We want to run that over here. And just like that, we're just going to pass through the focused color because we're setting it anyways. So now both of those visual elements, or all three, I guess, would be using the right colors. Even over here, when we set the focused color on the cell buttons, it should be fine. Okay, and lastly, the shop avatar. Actually, not lastly, there's one other custom feature. If we want to make this a truly modular shop. Oh, sorry, dude. I just saw your comment now, YazoT. What software do I use for animation and for the characters? We use Autodesk Maya, Epic. Epic with the Unreal Engine has made this really cool tool called the Maya animation and rigging tools, which are incredibly useful for setting up your skeleton, getting your character to move, all that other stuff. The animations are pretty janky right now. Excuse me, I'm planning to go back and improve on them for sure. But just to get something up and running, it's a really quick tool, which is why I'm a strong advocate of it. Hope that answers your question. Select asset. Okay, so for the character avatar, I'm just going to copy and paste this right in here. I'll create a comment box for it and call this shop avatar. Not all stores will have an avatar. Some will. Depends if they have key characters or if they're just kind of more like generic shops, that sort of deal. Basically, from here we have an input, and we're going to call it shop avatar. And that passes through and gets set perfectly. We'll call this shop title text. We'll call this our focused color. So as I was mentioning, there's one last item that needs to be set up here. And if we take a look at the event graph, you can see right here, this section, we have in this comment box, we place items into the slot from the inventory pack, to the cell menu. And here, basically, you can see that we look through the characters inventory, right? Look through that inventory, and we're looking for certain item types, right? And basically, using this branch and or for booleans, we can specify the item types that would be acceptable to sell. So when I made this junk shop, I basically said, hey, let's make it so that we can sell materials, treasures, and Ragna parts to this store, which is fine. Like, that's a good way to do it, but it's not exactly modular. We need to set something. Maybe modular is not the right word. It's not exactly a replicable. I don't know. Useful. We want to make it so any shop we want to you sell stuff to. What if there's a shop that has different items? What if there's a museum or something that you can sell, treasures to, but you don't want to be able to sell materials. Like this won't work. We need to be able to change these dynamically. I have to think on how we're going to set that up. It could be an array. Actually, something here, working off of this and the item type. And it has to be the incoming item type equal to, like, whatever. So I'm not exactly sure how to set this up. Can we promote this to a variable? I mean, if we do, what happens? What happens here? We compile, we have a new variable, and we can specify it. So that kind of works, but what if we want to be able to sell more than one type? Now, I don't like the idea of having, like, it's a long list. I don't want to have variables for each and every single one that would turn on and off. So I don't think that's necessarily going to work. However, there are different variable types we can experiment with. We have sets. That might be useful, actually. I've looked into these new variable types sort of briefly. I don't think I've actually used them in any other assets, just because I found arrays to be doing exactly what I needed. A set. Okay, so yeah, let's delete it so that we can change this variable type and not have Unreal get freaky on us. Okay. So if we convert this to a set, we have elements, and we can, I believe, specify as many different versions as possible. So let's say this store can sell these three types. In theory. This gets set like this, right? Just like, a custom data entry, let's say. Would that work on the actor end of things? Let's see. Let's expand this out. Slide everything over. Gotta love it. Okay. And with another reroute node here, let's just grab a set custom data. And here we go. We have our set, which is a little weird looking. I'm not really sure how to input into this. Seems a little bizarre. I mean, everything else would pass through with, no confusion. Okay, and whoops, we don't want that. We want these two. And it's gonna pass those through again. So, before the new variable, pins must have a wired input pin. Try connecting a make set node. Make set. Wow. Make set node. What if we drag out from here and make set? Okay. Well, not really cooperating with me. Sellable items, I suppose that would do. So these would, well, to be honest, oh no, we can keep it here. I don't want it to be hidden and weird. That's such a weird, why so many tabs? Anyways, we should be able to change this into a item type struct, and I think like we could make an array out of this. Then we would have our types that we create, and then from here, well, let's delete this and make set. So from here we can have restoratives. Oh geez, whatever, hunting tools and restoratives, let's say. And now we can, beautiful. Okay, this will work. Set shop data. Now I don't need it to be as large, but we just need to flag this. This is something that needs to be set on shops. It's a little important. So I want to make proper note of it. Item types, not for sale. I'll use some weird language. Item types can buy. Defines the item types is vendor will purchase. Cool. So let's compile and save. Should really do that in the opposite order. Let's see here. We have hunting tools, wagon parts, clothing, and we can, I guess, name this whatever. Now that we know that this technique does work from the actor side of things and assigning those items with the types we want, we still have to make sure that it'll work over here. So I can't exactly celebrate just yet. So we can grab our set and let's see. What can we do with a set? We can add items, contains items. Then we get true or false from them. We can convert this to this. Oh, yeah, that won't work. Let's see, what are our options here? We got difference, intersection, assigns result to the intersection of set A and set B. Nope. Length won't work. Remove items to array. So we could make this into an array, but then we have to use a for each loop and then create That's going to be kind of messy. I don't want to do that. Wait, this will work, right? Contains. Let's just call this, let's rename this to sellable item types. Is sellable even a word? Okay, anyways. So instead of checking for all of these, we should just be able to, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. Yeah, this should work for all of that. So we'll delete those, making use of that new set variable type. That's really cool. I don't see why it wouldn't work. We just have to make sure that these sellable item types have 3 elements. By default, let's make them none. And then we'll set that over on the, let's save real quick. On the actor, we can set it up here. Let's just sell restoratives. Not restoratives. Let's sell materials. Yeah, materials and I guess treasures only. So we can check against that. A new variable. Doesn't have a proper name. Let's set up, before we forget, sellable items. Okay, save that. Looking good, up to date, shouldn't have any issues. And I guess to test that, the easiest way would be to just spawn, or not spawn, but place a few items out. Let's grab some materials, so 2 alloys. I'm gonna put an E-canteen down here. Actually, we can get an E-canteen from our chest, and I think there's already one in the inventory by default, or in the stash rather. And a treasure. Let's grab a spinal. That should be cool. So we land here, pick up our items. So you can see those are in our inventory. Jesus. Let's use my gamepad over here and transfer this. So we have an E-canteen 2 now, or those 3 item types. We can see it's actually on us, which is pretty cool. And we can double check that over here in our item menu. So if we go to the store and we go to sell, perfect. You can see we can only sell our 2 item types that are flagged here, treasures and materials. Because our E-canteen is a restorative type, it is not flagged to show up here, so we can't sell it. We do have an option to sell all. We can sell all for the total value. If we sell, just one, I think we can still go to sell all, and then it works. Works like a charm. Okay, cool. Where that money goes is a little incorrect. But anyways, shop works. I think that's done in terms of the basic functionality and flexibility. It's all there. So now we can duplicate this junk shop child actor, and we can fully customize our shops based on, disable the buy menu, buy the stash, sell, whatever we need. We can set our colors, set the store text, set avatars. Obviously we can set the dialogue, but and we can set the items to sell. or item types can buy. It's very confusing because it's almost like a tense issue. Am I talking about what I can buy or what the shop will buy? Whatever. I guess sellable item types for consistency. Oh no. Now there's a reference here that needs to be set, or what? Hold on, let's drag this way, set custom data. And it works here, but it still says new variable. Why does it say that? That's not right at all. Okay, well, looks like it's working. Looks like everything's fine. That's a bit weird. Okay then. This is all good. Just a few sort of visual flares that need to be adjusted. The item type, or the money that was purchased or obtained rather from those sold items was actually added to our character's inventory. That's because the sell menu was originally built before the bank was. So you can see here we sell items, remove from inventory, update mallet, and we're adding that total cost to our character, which doesn't work, and we never want to add money to our wallet. We should always add it to our character's bank. So it's actually a pretty simple fix for that. We just got to replace this function with our game instance reference. I'm going to pull that out here and just call or we're going to get that bank value. So I'm going to set it. And we want to get it, I suppose. Just a thought. Maybe we can make a function that makes it cleaner and easier. If we go to our game instance, we can check it out. And this is something similar to what I did on my character class, just to make the exchanging of money a little quicker and cleaner. Looking at the bank, we can create a function here and just call it update bank. And inside of here, we're just going to set this value. We have an input, right? Branch. And a boolean here. Probably. You can call this lower funds, or I guess raise funds, potentially. The true or false value for raising funds, we just want to add that. Through here. However, if we are lowering funds, we actually want to take this and multiply it by a negative one, just so we can get the inversion of whatever integer we're passing through. And we actually still want to set it though. We still need to add to it. So for raising the funds, this looks better. If we're raising our funds, we simply just add to our existing bank amount by the input. If we're lowering it, it's almost the same, except we're just, reducing it by, or multiplying it to get the negative value. And we still add that negative value in to get the updated result, which should be fine. And that would be the update bank function. This makes things a little cleaner and simpler for things like the cell value, so we don't have to do all of that each and every time we want to affect the bank amount. So we can go update bank, and we want updated by the total cost, and we're raising funds, so set that to true. And whoops, replace this one here. Fantastic. So now our bank funds will go exactly where they're supposed to. And I want to add some visual consistency flourishes to the money amount on the shop front, the sell, and the basic buy menu as well. We can save this. We're also going to have to do it on the character, not the character, but the main menu, pause menu. So I'm going to check this out as well. I feel as though this change on the pause menu is also visible on the older version of our game, but I think it might have been one of the files that did not get updated on the transfer. But it's not a huge deal. No point digging through my old computer. It's a quick change. But I'm going to be right back. Got to use the washroom. Been drinking this coffee for the last hour. So I'll be back in a few minutes. And when I get back, we will improve upon we'll finish up the shop menu, I guess, and then begin creating some derivative children. Alrighty. Sorry about that, guys. But nature calls. What are you gonna do? Let's see here. Right. So I want to communicate um, the funding situation here. So when you pause, in various menus of the game, we have this. So not just the pause menu, but this black box that sure shows your character status, or the world status, you could say. So it has, like the time of day, day counters, but also your money. And it doesn't include the bank right now. This is just your, oh my god. That's fine. Let's remove this binding. And text block, not light text. That's fine. So let's set this up so that it does include our bank value. Just looking at this here, trying to relearn what I did. Input delay. So the mallet counter is set there, and the game mode. Okay. So set start index, go deeper. What is this? What does this all mean? Okay. Anyways, that was fine where it was. We just need some more space. Move this up a little bit. There it goes. Okay, cool. Cast to here, set as active character. That's all good and fine. Let's convert this to a pure cast. I'm just cleaning up the menu a little bit, I guess. We're not using this anymore, so we can find references. Should only be this one. Remove it, and remove it from here as well, because we can just get the text and set text, and you get pretty much the exact same value, or exact same result anyways. So cast to Project Grand Vault main and set active character reference. Now that's not wrong. And move this down here. So after we set that text, we should come down here and do the same to the game instance. We can also convert this to a pure cast because we only have that one game instance. And that should be set for all the levels in the game. Shouldn't matter. And from here we get things like the day phase, the sky state. So this is all correct. Ideally, I would like to replace these with set text values instead. Let's go ahead and do that now. So we have this as a variable and this here as well. Let's remove these bindings. Bindings are bad, and I just made another one. By mistake. Remove binding on the phase text. Day counter is there. So we can just go grab these two. Find references. They're good. Just like what they were previously. But it's always better to be sure. I haven't worked on these widgets in a while, so it's I'd rather verify than have a compile error. Okay, so we have our phase text here, and we have the day counter here. Yeah, sort of like this. But we also need one more bit of text here, which you have to create, basically the bank value. So what I'm going to do here is duplicate this text. We can't. To copy and paste into the hierarchy that is desired. And basically this is going to say text block, bank. So text block underscore, it's just a very inefficient name. Not good. Now let's call this bank text. You get the idea. And from here, we would also, whoops, don't want to cut. I want to copy this and paste 2 more. And that does seem kind of crazy, but there's a plan for it. I'm just going to increase the size box temporarily so I can see what's going on. So these two here are not going to be variables at all. In fact, they're just going to be like square brackets. Square brackets are just sort of like the visual language that I'm using to be consistent regarding the communication of what text is which regarding money. Like, what is your wallet or is it your bank? And basically, you would have a container sort of like this, but these can be, we can greatly reduce the padding here. This makes things a little bit easier. Going to the other widgets, I'll just copy sort of these 3 and paste them into those categories. Bank text is a variable. That's cool. And now we can adjust our size box again. So we have size to content as well, which really doesn't help, strangely. You'd think it would. Back over on our graph, I'll just get that and just sort of set it. And this will carry out down here. And lower these a little bit because we just want to get that bank text. So normally on shop menus, we're adding these values together to see, you know, our total affordance, if you will. But in this case, let's keep it separate because the character has a maximum limit with regards to how much money they can carry on hand at a time based on their wallet size. It's definitely important to see how much you have on you. Right? And this text actually should be a little dynamic because it has a limit. If it's equal to that limit, we should set the color as well, which we can do simply from here. Set color and opacity. Well, not the bank text of this here. If we pass this through, it should have a branch. And the branch we're checking for is this value equal to malite max. And well, if it's true, we set that color, and if it's false, we just execute right into the bank text, which is fine. We can split the structure pin. It's a little cramped here now. And instead of pink, we'll just pick up, you know, pale red. This is fine for now. But it's kind of getting to the minutia of the details. Anyways, we have the information being displayed here, which is cool. And like I mentioned, what I want to do is set this up on everything. We want total value. So what we should have here is, let's Control C these and paste them into here. Actually, we don't need the text itself. We just need to paste into this horizontal box. And there they are. And they should have all their preserved paddings and everything, which is really cool. Maybe you want something like 5 and 5, just to give it a little bit of breathing room. So I copy and paste that into the buy menu as well, into this horizontal box. And I'll use the hierarchy to arrange it. It's a little bit easier. So set up that padding. Looks good, and the cell menu as well. Right on, so from these 2 points, we are able to, I think that's everything. All of these already use the combined value. Just running a save all. What is next? Let's see here. Okay. We can close the game instance. I want to say everything's working, but I don't want to overlook something important. I guess as a flourish, we can just copy this color divider into this one, just to make it just a bit more consistent across all menus. Let's see here. Where are you? Color divider into here. Yeah, it should delete that and paste these here. Perfect. And just to test, if we run in here, cool. Okay, so let's, I suppose we can close all of these and probably check them all in. Let's rename this to basic shopfront. That way they're all together and there's no confusion among the different stores. And I'm gonna check, well, I guess we can check in all of them. Okay, update, store widgets. Geez, okay, a little bit long there, but let's begin setting up these stores and replacing our old versions, our inferior stores. Can delete this child reference, and this is the parent. It can be replaced with a child version, but I think the functionality would be just as adequate. I'm going to delete my item stash here and begin with this store, the Gadgets and Gadgets store. If we find it here, we can see all of our stores. Unfortunately, I'm going to change up some of these naming conventions. Just so I can differentiate the new set from the old set. I don't want any accidental issues. Updated and created junk shop into a parent class for derivative shops. Okay, check this in and then we'll begin the overhaul here. File files need to be checked out. Let's check them out so Unreal, so we don't upset Unreal. And it's our widgets. Fantastic. That is what I just checked in. Should have figured that rename would cause the references needing to be updated. But I want Julio to be able to have zero issues when he loads up this downtown level. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to subject you all to this, but it's for the greater good. There we go. Finally. Okay, so from here, I want to take our junk shop child actor and duplicate it. And simply, we're just going to call it actor underscore gadgets. So we have our naming convention. It's adequate. And we're going to place it into the world. Here it is. Here's the new store. It's a little terrible by comparison, but that's only because we haven't set it up yet. We have our location in the world that we need to readjust, of course. And the first thing I'm going to do here is open up the blueprint. And, well, I guess really the first thing I should do is go to select, edit, transform, and lock after movement, so that this doesn't get moved around accidentally, kind of like this. But this one, beautiful. Anyways, the camera's all crooked. So how can I open this up and still have a good view of what's going on here? Basically, I want to adjust this camera. Don't like that location I don't like that as the camera location. Just gonna move it out here, off to the side, rotate it, make it a bit more. It looks so like bizarre. I'm gonna maximize this just so I can have less of a distorted view. If we change this to the local, you can see this is a little off kilter. Set it to 0. Looks better already. Okay. I'm going to keep that as it is for now. And I want to set the store up to look like it's supposed to. So let's change the mesh to gadgets, or maybe gadgets. There we go. So we have our store here, and the material, that's not right. We don't want the junk shot material. We want the actually, I'm not sure which one we're supposed to use. To find out, I'm actually going to go to the old version, hop in here, shopping alley structures, cyan. Okay, so they use the default, the sort of the modular structures. Let's close. Delete. Okay, that was weird, but should be fine. So let's change this to cyan, shopping alley structures. That's cool. Looking a bit more correct now. Let's add a static mesh as well. And it can be a parent of that. That's cool. And we want it to be the gadgets sign, right? Because we have our groovy storefront. And I'm just gonna slide that in here. Let me turn off the cool. That looks good there. That's really all for this store with regards to the visuals. Nothing too fancy. Most of the stores will operate on this, on these levels rather. I'm gonna set up the interaction box like so, and the arrow is. It should be fine actually. So. I actually want to test that out. Welcome to the shop. Yeah, it works just like we did before. Beautiful. Okay. So, visually it works. So let's set this up. Is the shop closed? Looks like the shop is closed. Best to come back tomorrow. Probably. Just thinking. This variable here is defining whether or not the shop is open or closed, and that actually gets set on the parent class here on this begin play function. We can't double click and go there, but basically we check the time of day phase. We check the day phase to see if the shop is supposed to be open during that phase. Now, if I think about this, what if you want certain shops to close early or to close at different times of day, right? You probably don't want that. I mean, you probably want that, excuse me. You want that control and flexibility. So, um, probably should set that up. Um, and it's pretty easy. I'm just going to copy and paste it from um, the parent class just so we can define it. Just wondering if we should overwrite it or just duplicate the function outright. Well, no sense having it twice. Yeah, I'm just going to copy it and paste it into this child reference first that we had set up. There we go. Conflicting nodes substituted during paste. What was the conflicting nodes? Can I override this? Fascinating. So we can override it. Just so you guys can see, I'm looking at the parent actor of the junk shop of all the stores, and that's where it was handling this. But we want to be able to control that flexibility, right, with regards to when and when not the shop is closed. Oh man, that is actually, there's a way simpler way to do this. We can absolutely just leave things handled on the junk shop, on the parent, right? The children don't have to deal with this at all. In fact, we can just, call the parent on begin play and let the parent handle everything so that this individual blueprint doesn't have to have that function. So here, instead of having it manually set as night, let's just promote this to a variable. And we can call this closed time. Or I guess closed phases would be better. And we would place that in for both. But again, this variable only holds a single enumeration of that type. Right? So like nighttime again. And by default, that's fine. But if we want something to close early, for instance, in evening, that means it'd be open at nighttime. Which maybe we want that too. But my point is we need to use a set here, just like we did before. So I'm just going to delete this so that Unreal doesn't get concerned. And we're going to change this to a set. And we're going to compile. And by default, it will have the nighttime phase set. And we're going to go to contains item. So, and that'll work. We're going to have to use this twice, though. But this is way better. The only thing is, if we're making fresh child actors, instead of duplicating them like I have been, we're going to have to just remember to set this on the begin play. So, gonna make use of this orange again. Set closed phases. And we have to execute this before we call the parent. And I think that should work. I don't think there'll be any issues regarding this being changed here, but on the parent not being changed. I'll test it to see now, but I think this will work. Set phase is invalid. Must have an input wired to it. Oh, right. That's a little weird. So it must have an input. Let's test it with this simple variable. By default, it's 0, so it's going to be open during all hours. Let's just change that to nighttime. We can include that. Why not? And let's save, check out that store. So, now if we change the time of day to evening, it should still work. Yep. And if we change it to nighttime, beautiful. Now for just as a sort of final test, that's kind of like our control, I guess you could say. Let's see if we can make this store be closed at multiple phases. Something like evening, right? So now, right now we can see it's afternoon. So store should be open. Awesome. And if we pass some time and now it's evening. Okay, so that didn't work. gonna have to work on this a bit more. But just to finish up the customization of this store, we can change all this data. It's fully functional and customizable. So if we don't have an avatar, let's set this to none, and we'll call this man behind counter. That's who will be talking. And we can set all this stuff. We want to disable cell. I call this electronics store. Oh, we could just put the proper store name here, gadgets and gadgets. We can have buy and buy to stash, that's fine. Store buttons, that's cool. We'll use the cyan colors because we know it's sort of the store's color theme. Might be a bit too bright. That should be cool. Focus text, avatar, just set that off to Floyd. And because we set it here in our main shop data, it should affect all of the subsequent menus and sellable item types. We don't have to customize this because, well, you don't sell items at this store. But now if we save, compile, and play, well, that's a bad example. Why didn't that work? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's why. I changed the wrong one. Can I undo this or what? Not that it matters, because, I mean, this is sort of like a test child actor. It doesn't really matter if it changes or not. Oh, and also, maybe the store shop close times would also work, because that wasn't actually set up in the right blueprint. So that would explain everything. Instead of new variable 0, I'm just going to call this, let's promote this to a variable here, make sure there's no awkward references, and call it closed phases. Should be fine. And let's try and see if we can make this closed in the afternoon. First, though, let's set this up properly. Call this man behind counter. Oh, how embarrassing. All this stuff was not even right. Electronics store. Gadgets and gadgets. Disable cell, set up our colors. Collapse this. And these item types here, we can remove those. So let's compile, and we just gotta verify this is set up. Now let's see if we can close this store in afternoon, but have it open in the evening and have it closed at night again. So let's save. Everything should be good to go now. I just want to double check that the child actor has this set. Okay. That way I know my control for my test things is in the right state. Alright, let's play. So, beautiful. The shop is closed. Pass some time to evening. Now it's open, and the man behind the counter is talking to us. no avatar for this store. We have the title cards displaying properly, and the menus for the store also correct. As in, we can't sell items here, but we can buy or buy to stash. And if we get in here, beautiful. We have our store inventory being set, which obviously needs to be customized further. But visually, the color has also been added and updated here, which is really cool. Come back again. Sweet. So, the modular, again, modular might not be the right word. The parent-child shop actors are now working in their glory, which is pretty cool. So, what's next for me is to, I guess I'll wrap up the stream here. But like I was saying, sort of what's next for me is to set up all the shops in the shopping alley and populate them with the inventory from that item data spreadsheet I shared with you guys on yesterday's stream. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll share that update with you guys, and we'll be able to get into that ruins corridor actor that I was talking about. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. All the support is greatly appreciated, and it just motivates us more than you guys could imagine. Anyways, see you next time.